The Neanderthal DNA didn't reach significantly Africa, but mitochondrial Eve DNA did, uh, and it reached the areas of Africa that are exposed to the Americas. This from through the Pacific currents and to the Atlantic currents. This is the same for the so-called African haplogroup A, which is exposed to the Americas, the Americas, the Americas, the Americas. The same is the case for the also so-called African haplogroup B. You see the same area is exposed to the Americas here through the Red Sea, here directly West Africa, most importantly here. The same for the mitochondrial Eve haplogroup L1b and exposed to the Americas through the Atlantic, through the Atlantic, through the Mediterranean, and here directly through the South Atlantic gyre, again in this corner. These are the Sand People. It's in fact low frequencies, but it is amongst the Sand People. It's associated with deserts, and it's exposed to the Americas, and this to the Pacific, and this to the South Atlantic, arriving here. We could also prove the American origin through haplogroup mitochondrial Eve or mtDNA haplogroup X, which is clearly present in North America on the East Coast in higher frequencies than it is present in Anatolia. Anatolia is a very small area here with a much lower frequency than here, and here is much lower than here, but it's from the east to the west coast. And here there's only a slightly minor frequency in Anatolia. So even the Anatolian farmers are of American origin through the North Atlantic gyre, entering the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, and the rivers covering at the end all this region. Obviously, the UK is exposed in the first place from here, North Atlantic current, gyre, and currents, and Iceland having a high frequency is a kind of a proof that it's out of Americas, because this is the direction of the current, and if they would come from Europe, it's very unreasonable to think that there is a reasonable frequency in Iceland, because it's against the currents, very strong currents. This is the warm Gulf Stream, or AMOC, AMOC. This is mitochondrial Eve D, or mitochondrial haplogroup D, which is typically Native American. You see it here, but specifically Amazon forest and South America. They probably migrated here and to the coast. It's It's quite evident that this followed the Pacific Gyre to reach this point, because the Pacific Gyre makes this movement. It also hits Japan, and it hits this part of the Americas again, coming back, making the circle. So again, and you see how this typical Native American mitochondrial Eve DNA, D, affects almost all of Asia and parts of Eurasia as well, because it can travel through the Atlantic as well, and reach the Black Sea through the Mediterranean. So again, typical Native American mitochondrial haplogroup B through the Pacific Gyre and currents, New Zealand, East and Southeast Asia, Japan again, and through the currents here, Madagascar until Africa, just a little bit here as well, because it also again can travel through the South American rivers and into here, or just most probably extending through the Red Sea, affecting Tigris and Euphrates. But this is more easy to explain through the Mediterranean or through these European rivers here going to the south.